Have you ever paused in the middle of your familiar flow of life and asked yourself, what was I born for? And why does my life seem to have milestones that feel as if they were arranged in advance? Questions like these do not arise by chance. They appear as signals that something beneath awareness is opening a door, inviting you to look deeper into the place where your most meaningful choices were shaped long before you could name them. From this perspective, what is often called a soul contract is not something mysterious or abstract. It can be understood as an inner blueprint. It reflects the family you entered, the challenges you would face, the qualities you needed to develop, and the people who would appear at key moments to awaken something essential within you. When we enter life, we forget this blueprint so that journey can be real. Every choice, every pain, and every turning point moves you closer to the person you are meant to become. One day, you begin to notice signals. These may appear as meaningful coincidences, recurring dreams, a strange sense of familiarity, or a strong urge you cannot fully explain. This is not merely a random phenomenon. It is a quiet reminder that the inner agreement is still alive, waiting for you to turn inward and remember. So what are the signs that this deeper calling is trying to reach you again? Stay with this until the end, because the answer may already be unfolding in what comes next. Number 1. When the outer world becomes a mirror, meaningful signs begin to appear. There are times when life feels unchanged on the surface. Work is the same, routines repeat. Relationships follow familiar paths. Yet beneath this stability, a very small movement begins to form, like an underground stream slowly shaping the earth. You may not be able to name it, but you feel that something wants to emerge. These quiet movements often form the first doorway back to your deeper purpose. The outer world is not separate from your inner life. Events, people, and even seemingly random moments often reflect what is shifting within you. As awareness begins to wake up, the world around you starts to mirror what you have neglected, where you have drifted away, and which parts of your true nature you have left behind. An external event only carries real transformative power when it touches something that is already moving inside you. When two lives meet, when a moment lands with unusual weight, both sides are changed in some way. This reaction is a signal that something essential is being activated. You do not remember your deeper direction by forcing yourself to search for it. You remember it by noticing what begins to change within you in response to these outer reflections. This calling does not live in the future. It rests in very old impulses. When you touch them, recognition is immediate. You simply know, this belongs to me. These reflections do not arrive as clear answers. They come as felt experiences. A simple sentence that makes you pause. A moment that reveals how far you have drifted from what truly matters. A small opportunity that feels uncertain, yet warms something inside you. They do not ask for analysis. They ask you to stop and notice. Sometimes, an ordinary situation is enough to open the first door. I once knew a woman who appeared to live a stable life, yet felt a growing tightness within. One morning, while sitting on a bus, she saw a group of students filming a small documentary. There was nothing special about it. A few cameras, laughter, and yet something inside her fell silent. It felt like a memory surfacing. Years earlier, she had loved telling stories and wanted to make films. She had left that part of herself behind. One brief moment was enough to awaken it again. This shows an important truth. The deeper calling does not arrive to change your life overnight. It comes to remind you of what once made you feel alive. When you listen to that precise moment of awakening, you begin to turn back toward what you had chosen long ago. From there, patterns start to form. An image that repeats for days. An idea that returns even when you try to ignore it. A feeling that lights up during an ordinary afternoon. These experiences connect into a single current, guiding you back to who you truly are rather than who you thought you should be. This process unfolds through resonance, not instructions. You encounter something and feel it living inside you. Number 2. Strongly triggered emotions are doorways to forgotten parts of yourself. As these outer signs raise awareness, another movement appears, closer to the center of your inner world. Strong emotions rise, sometimes unexpectedly. If coincidences are quiet whispers, then sudden surges of feeling are a clear inner voice asking, "Do you remember me?" Often, emotions do not match the situation. A mild comment may hurt deeply. A small disappointment may feel overwhelming. These reactions are not random. They mark thresholds leading back to older parts of you that were wounded and never fully seen. In these moments, you are not reacting to the present alone. You are responding to an old memory held in the body. The body remembers what the mind has tried to forget. Emotional memory moves faster than reason. That is why present pain can unlock an old door. When emotions surge, you are not failing. You are being guided to where healing has been waiting. Strong emotions are often misunderstood as weakness, but they are pathways to awareness. When you feel shaken by a single sentence, something deep is being illuminated. Discomfort signals that you are approaching a part of yourself you once had to protect. If you can pause for just a few seconds instead of reacting, layers begin to reveal themselves. The impulse to defend or withdraw softens. You see that the emotion has not come to control you, but to open a door and lead you back to where the story began. Every strong feeling carries a message. Sensitivity to broken promises often grows from early unpredictability. Intense reactions to criticism often come from needing to be perfect to feel loved. Fear when someone goes silent often traces back to abandonment. No reaction is excessive. Each one fits the story being carried. You do not need immediate answers. One simple question is enough. What is this emotion trying to show me? That question creates space. In that space, automatic reactions slow down and deeper truth can emerge. Strong emotions are not obstacles. They are bridges guiding you back to your roots and toward a more whole version of yourself. If, in this moment, you think of someone struggling with their own emotional storms, you may share this video as a small light. It may reach them at the exact moment they need a doorway back to themselves. Number 3. Repeated patterns in life. These patterns form the clearest map of the soul's journey. If strongly triggered emotions open doors to forgotten inner spaces, then repeated patterns are the map you cannot avoid, deny, or outrun. What repeats is never random. It often appears as stories you believed were over, or wounds you thought you had left behind, but which were only stored quietly beneath awareness. Some experiences pass through your life once and fade quickly. Others return again and again, wearing different faces, arriving through different people or situations, yet awakening the same familiar pain. In those moments, you are not facing a single event. You are touching an inner loop. These loops are subtle. They do not demand attention loudly. They appear as small details you might dismiss. A look that tightens your chest. A casual remark that makes you shrink inside. A careless act that triggers the same tension you felt years ago. These moments pass quickly, yet they leave behind a feeling that lingers. When you ask yourself, why does this keep happening? The pattern has already revealed itself. If you slow down enough to observe instead of react, you begin to see that what repeats is not your outer life, but something within you asking to be seen, named, and released. Repetition is not meant to punish you. It appears to show you what needs to open. These patterns speak through symbols, dreams, meaningful coincidences, and repeated situations. What is often called fate is frequently an old story guiding choices. From behind the scenes, until it is brought into awareness, it repeats itself in relationships, work, emotions, and decisions. A clear example can be seen in Oprah Winfrey's life. She grew up surrounded by instability, neglect, and emotional wounds. Those early experiences did not disappear with success. Even after gaining influence and recognition, she found herself drawn into relationships that revived the same fears of abandonment and unworthiness. These loops were not consciously created. They existed so the unhealed parts could finally be faced. Only when she addressed the root of those wounds did the pattern release. Repetition is not failure. It signals the edge of transformation. You repeat what you have not yet understood. You attract what has not yet healed. These loops also appear in positive forms. Some people are repeatedly placed in leadership roles. Others naturally become caregivers or creators, even when they doubt themselves. These positive patterns point to where your soul naturally thrives. What matters is not analyzing the pattern endlessly, but sensing its rhythm. Each return asks one simple question: will you respond as the old version of yourself or choose differently? This time, a small change in response can shift the entire direction of the story. When you begin to notice these rhythms without resistance, the loop slowly loosens. Awareness alone creates a crack in the old structure. Through that crack, change begins. Start with something simple. When you notice a pattern repeating, pause, breathe, and quietly say, "I see this." That recognition is enough to begin. Transformation. When you realize that repeated patterns are not coincidences but guidance, another sign begins to emerge. Behind every loop is a quiet inner voice that often goes unnoticed. This voice does not arrive through reasoning or mental debate. It does not appear when you are forcing positivity or controlling emotions. It emerges when you slow down. When you stop running. When you allow stillness to exist. Sometimes it comes during ordinary moments. Standing in the kitchen. Sitting in traffic. A sudden knowing rises. Life cannot continue this way. Not from crisis or drama, but from truth surfacing gently. Looking outward keeps you chasing. Looking inward begins a dialogue. This quiet inner voice is the start of that conversation. One woman shared that she filled every night with background noise to avoid silence. One evening, her phone battery died. At first, she felt anxious. Then, in the quiet, a simple truth surfaced. I am tired of pretending I am okay. Not judgment. Just honesty. Silence allowed it to be heard. This inner voice speaks through feeling, not force. It does not push you to become someone else. It only asks you to remember who you are. When you move too far from your nature, it gently calls you back. The ego rushes and worries. This deeper voice remains patient. It does not argue, it reflects. When you are exhausted but pushing forward, it reminds you to stop. When you fear losing someone, it asks you not to lose yourself. This voice often appears just before a major inner shift. A quiet discomfort. A growing urge to change. A sense that a chapter is ending, even if you do not yet know what comes next. It knows when something is complete. To hear it, you need space. Space to feel instead of react. Space to listen instead of explain. Once you listen even once, the dialogue becomes clearer. You begin to recognize which signals come from fear and which come from truth. If a moment like this comes to mind as you listen, a time when something inside spoke softly but clearly, notice it. That moment mattered. It was the beginning of a deeper conversation with yourself. If the inner voice opens dialogue, the next question becomes clear. How do you know what you were truly meant to do? The answer often lies in your innate gifts. These are the oldest markings on your inner map. They cannot be manufactured or erased. They were present before expectations shaped you. These gifts are not always dramatic. They appear as ease, joy, or a sense of rightness. Some people naturally listen. Others organize chaos. Some sense emotions instantly. Others create beauty or meaning from simple things. No one taught them these abilities. They are seeds brought into life. Myths describe this symbolically, But the meaning is simple. Even when you forget direction, these inclinations remain. Looking back at childhood reveals them clearly. Before the world told you who to be, you were already expressing who you were, the child who draws endlessly, the one who asks endless questions, the one who mediates conflict. None of this is random. As life progresses, the need for approval pushes these gifts aside. Sensitivity is labeled weakness. Creativity is redirected. Curiosity is discouraged. Slowly, people abandon their natural tone and follow someone else's map. You can imagine yourself as an instrument designed for a specific melody. You may play the wrong tune or stay silent for years, but only the melody meant for you will feel alive. Your innate gift is that melody. Acknowledging it is not about talent. It is about alignment. When you live from it, work becomes meaningful, and choices arise from integrity rather than fear. If a forgotten gift comes to mind now, allow yourself to see it again. It never disappeared. It has only been waiting. As you recognize your gifts, another sign appears clearly. Certain people enter your life at exact moments to awaken, mirror, or challenge you. Some encounters are not accidental. Certain people reflect parts of yourself you have not yet seen. They arrive when your inner world is ready to change. There are people who feel familiar without reason. Others stay briefly but leave deep impact. Some support you gently. Others challenge you sharply. Both serve a purpose. Science shows that only a few people strongly activate learning and emotional growth in us. Your body often recognizes these connections before your mind understands them. A woman once described a colleague who, without close interaction, made her feel deeply seen. Their presence alone encouraged her to speak up and trust herself. That relationship activated a strength she had not yet claimed. Not all destined connections are comfortable. Some arrive as wounds. They force you to face fears, boundaries, and unhealed memories. These intense emotions are not only reactions to others, but echoes of earlier experiences seeking resolution. People who hurt you often change you the most. No one appears without reason, and no one leaves by accident. Each relationship aligns with a specific segment of your path. You recognize these people through 3 signs. They change how you see yourself. They awaken strong emotions. And after meeting them, you are no longer the same. Look back. Every major turning point in your life likely connects to such a person. Understanding the lesson matters more than holding on. What we call a soul contract is not distant or abstract. It lives in small moments, a pause, a feeling, a repeated pattern, a quiet inner voice. When you slow down, you begin to see that life is not random. Experiences arrive at the right time to guide you back toward what you once knew. This journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to what you left behind. When you listen more deeply and move a little slower, the right signs appear naturally. Thank you for staying until the end. If this journey resonated with you, subscribe and turn on notifications so future reflections can find you exactly when you need them.